They say money is energy. It all depends on how you use it. This is Robert Manni, host of Guys TV, and this week my special guest is Margaret Donahue. She's written a book all about money. I've also got dating coach Tina Jesso right here on Guys TV. You can also catch me on KCAA Radio in Southern California and also my worldwide podcast, Guys Radio. Guys TV, Guys Radio, thanks for your support. Okay, Guys Radio, the very important, all-important interview portion of our show, and I've got a special guest, a very lovely lady. Her name is Tina Jesso, and I've been on her Facebook Live interview series, and she's a very passionate person. She coaches singles to create their online brand and love mindset so they can navigate the unpredictable world of dating to attract love faster. And there's so many issues and challenges with dating, and that's been put on steroids with the whole COVID thing. It's like people are afraid even more about different aspects of dating. Tina is a Jack Canfield Success Trainer, and she uses what she's developed called the passion test as one of her many tools to help her clients get ready for love. And prior to being a dating coach, Tina mentored many people in her business to achieve financial success, as well as leading her team to achieve top sales and quality awards. And now these success principles that spark business achievement are doing the same in the world of love. This wisdom, along with Tina's own love journey, maybe we'll get into that, helps to effectively guide clients to find those gaps of what it really takes to achieve their goals in life and love. Beautifully stated by Tina. And here she is. Welcome to Guys Radio, Tina Jesso.
What a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me, Robert.
My pleasure, and the pleasure for our audience, because so many people are challenged now by dating in general. I think more so than ever over the last 10 years, and also with this time of COVID. But first, let's talk a little bit about you. What inspired you to make the change from business coaching to relationships? What was your business before?
So I was in financial services for 32 years. And the key is that what I realized after the fact, and hopefully people can realize more before the fact, before they get into a particular, line of business, as to what to choose a line of business that really taps into their passions. And it was really only after the fact that I really tuned into the fact that why I did pretty well in the financial services area is because it was something that I was really passionate about. We had a very fine niche, and which was helping parents plan financially for their kids' education. Education was huge for me in my life, right? I believe in it on so many different levels. So to help parents, have the means to send their kids to college and university and not have the big student debt that I had after university, well, I was in. Right. So I didn't leave a house until every child had our program, essentially, because I believed in it so strongly. Then that was going well. And I just basically mentored and coached people from there to come in and become reps and do what I had done, follow my route. And they did extremely well. So I did that for 30 years. And it was beautiful. Whenever, Robert, whenever you're dealing with people, even though I was essentially doing the same job all the time, because of the different personalities and people coming in, there was always a challenge. There was always something new to learn. But at a certain point, I figured, let's try something new before I eventually retired. And then I knew that relationships was a place I wanted to go in. So I actually co-founded, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Robert, I co-founded a dating website. And we got that off the ground for a little while. Then we decided to do a pivot, right? It was going well. But with the knowledge I had built up with the different courses we were putting together for singles, I just realized I found my second calling in life. And then I stepped into the world of coaching.
Okay. Good story. How did your own love journey provide you with the tools you need to help others with their dating and relationship issues?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And actually, that was the reason why I decided to start the dating website, is because I had been divorced for several years and been on and off online dating. We've had this chat before, you as well, right? And it's a little bit of trial and error, hit and miss. And I wasn't really cluing into why it wasn't happening for me, why I wasn't meeting a quality person. And so basically, everything that I've learned, I make I'm very experiential, right? I got to go through making the mistakes, learning from them, refining it, and then having success so that I can show others a better way. Right. There is a path and there is a way, and everybody is individual, but there's certain key principles I can say that would be useful to men or women on that path, especially when you're over 40 and 50. Again, we've had that chat before. There's different challenges at this time in our lives.
What do you think is the current state of dating these days and versus like 10 years ago?
Yeah. So it's really, the landscape has really changed, right? First of all, on the positive side, when I first started online dating, at around 2007, 2008, there was still a bit of a stigma around it, and I was even hesitant about telling my friends and family that I was doing online dating, because it felt just a little bit icky. It's like you're, I don't know, putting yourself out there on the market or whatever. So people these days, it's become, did you know that in the next little while, it's expected that 70% of couples will be meeting online?
Wow.
And as we talked about before, there are so many YouTube videos and information that is out there on how to get ready for online dating. It's just become a much more acceptable platform. Like anything, when it becomes very popular, there are great things about it, and then other things that leak into it that you should be aware of. So it's kind of buyer beware. You should get a little bit educated if you haven't been online dating before, so that you're aware of the different things that can come up with stuff like ghosting, catfishing, love bombing, all of these types of things. Because if you're aware certain things are a bit of a tendency right now, you can learn, you can know that it's nothing personal. It's just part of the landscape right now, how to sidestep it and how to craft your profile so that you attract less of those types of people and you attract more of what you're looking for.
So, for women today, what are they looking for in a man? Anything different over the past decade? Or is it the same? They want a guy to be, what I've heard from other dating coaches, female dating coaches, is that women are looking for guys to be guys in the best sense of the word. So, not meaning macho man, but still being a man in the best sense of the word. And that includes some type of pursuit, also seems to be welcomed, so that the woman doesn't have to do all the work. Because guys can tend to sit back and say, "Oh, she's going to take over. I'll just kind of be along for the ride." So, what is your sense in terms of what's going on there with what women are looking for? Am I right or am I wrong? And have things changed?
Robert, I think you have a good sense of what's going on out there. And I agree pretty much with everything that you said. And I just want to underscore the fact that, you know, women have changed a lot over the last 20, 30, even 50 years, right? And I mean, there was a certain point where, and I remember when I was first dating, for example, I was getting the feedback, Tina, you're really intimidating. You know what I mean? So because I don't know, it's just like, let's roar. You know what I mean? We want to be these independent women and have all these accomplishments and be recognized for it. And that's still the case. But what I feel is happening a lot more right now is that there's more of an awareness, a consciousness that men and women are different, that we have different roles. And I don't have to try to be the man all the time, right? To be the domineering force or the leader and taking charge and taking care of everything. I want to be with somebody who's able to take care of me, just like I'm able to take care of him. And it's not an expectation that I should have to do that. So I would say that for women who are really exploring, themselves right now, I think there's more of a realization that let's let Mother Nature take its course, and let's celebrate our divine feminine, right? Which is caring and nurturing and giving. And men, if we want a man, if we're in our feminine, then maybe we want a man who is more in his masculine, where they've got things going on. They're able to take care of us if need be, and they appreciate a woman who is feminine.
A great answer. So Tina Jesso, my special guest on Guys Radio, we're talking about relationships. So what is the biggest challenge you have working with women? I think you touched on something that I've heard from other relationship coaches, and that is sometimes it's tough because of the pressures that are put on women in the workplace. And it's a new territory over the last 50 years, let's say, for them in terms of more and more and more executive roles that they're long overdue and they're well deserved. But dialing that back when they're starting to meet a new guy.
Right. Yeah. So it is a challenge. It is a challenge, especially if you've been single for a while, right? To try to dial that back. But I would say that women are more informed than they ever have been before, and there's a lot for the guys and for the women. There's a lot more people who are single who are reaching out and becoming a part of groups, meetup groups or Facebook groups. They're getting coaches, right, in order to help them refine their search. And with my own clients, for example, what I'm seeing is that certain things, let's just put it this way, you can be the smartest man or woman in the world, but you know what, we all have our blind spots, and sometimes we just assume the dating world is in a certain, works in a certain way, and maybe it doesn't, and maybe we don't even, we're behaving in such a way that it's a subconscious behavior, and we don't even see what we're doing. Whereas if we have someone that we're working with, or a course that we're taking to shine the light on this type of thing, then we can prevent certain things from happening. For example, if I can give you a quick example, like you go on the first date, for example, and I've heard you talk about this on various programs as well, Robert, because I love your program and I love it, and I really appreciate everything that you have to say. And that is, sometimes you go on a date as a man and you feel like you're going through an interview process, right?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
And women think that's what I've got to do. I've got to find out if he's a good match or if he's a bad match. And these are all of my questions and I got to get them out. Well, without knowing those very questions and what they're setting out to do could be the very reason why it doesn't work out, because it's the attitude and the mindset that goes with it. Do you have the right job? Do you live on the right side of town? Right? Is your ex far enough away in the rear view mirror? All those types of things. Whereas if you go out to dating with a different mindset and an expectation is that you're not necessarily going to meet Mr. Right or Mrs. Right away, and that the first thing is just to get to know the person. Right? Mm-hmm. Treat them like you want to be treated. Enjoy yourself, have fun, be a bit flirty, dress up, put on the heels. You know what I mean? And then get a little bit of guidance, like I said, especially if you're online dating and with your profile, and really be aware of those boundaries, because that's super important as well. But you don't necessarily have to lead with that. You don't have to be aggressive about it.
Okay. I just want to go back, because a couple of questions ago we touched on, men are men and women are women. And I think that your meaning in that is that there are differences, but it doesn't mean that the woman can't be the breadwinner and the guy can't be the more nurturing in some things. We have tendencies, but it's really about relationships. I always say there's not enough love in the world. So whatever works for people, and it could be man to woman, woman to man, man to man, woman to woman. It doesn't matter. Roles don't, it's just about relationships. And when you have two people, you create a unique universe. And there are some things to be aware of when you're creating this universe in terms of being respectful to yourself as well as the other person. Am I on the right track there?
I couldn't have said it any better myself, right?
Okay.
Treat other people like you want to be treated. And I just want to let everybody know as well, I deal primarily with heterosexual couples, right? But we're often talking about energies here, and that type of universal truth could be applied to other types of relationships. It's around the masculine and the feminine. And it's not just about getting ready for dating. It's also knowing and being prepared ahead of time with the tools for how do you better manage a relationship and hopefully make it last a lot longer than the last relationship. And maybe over 40 and 50, we're hoping this is going to be our last relationship, right? And that would be a beautiful thing. So it's important to be ready for that phase as well. It's not just, making yourself pretty and just learning all these great communication tools. It's actually knowing how to manage a relationship more successfully once you do have someone that is significant for you.
Okay. Tina Jesso, my special guest from Montreal, Canada. She's a coach and a coach extraordinaire, as you can tell from her responses that are very thoughtful and very kind, I believe. You have something called the passion test that you use when you're working with your clients. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the passion test is it's something that was put together, an amazing test and workshop by Chris and Janet Atwood, and I'm a certified trainer for them. And basically, what it is to help people to figure out and get close to what is truly important for them in their lives. Some people call it the passions, or you can call it like a priority, truly what's important. And, you would think that most people would know exactly what is important to them. But I can say that, in your 40s and 50s, sometimes you kind of go on automatic pilot in your 20s and 30s, right? You get a job, you have a family, you're taking care of your kids, your husband, your parents. And then all of a sudden, maybe the kids leave home or there's a divorce or a separation, and you kind of wake up and said, where did my life go? And am I doing things that I truly enjoy? And what do I really want in life? Right? There's so many people out there that question themselves, or they're doing something they kind of like, but they know they want to add a bit more juice or a bit more joy to their life. So basically, this is a workshop to help people identify truly what are they really great at, right? Even you could say, it can give them tools as to what is their life purpose. And then figuring out what is most important to you. We narrow it down to 5 typically. And then we take our clients through, how to live that in your daily life. It doesn't necessarily mean that you throw everything out overnight if you're not, generally happy with your life. It's about identifying what's truly important for you right now and how to integrate those priorities in your life on a day-by-day basis, and how to even attract it into your life on a day-by-day basis.
Great. And that kind of applies for just day-to-day life, not just relationships. And if you do it in your day-to-day life, it's going to apply to relationships. So that's great. Let's power through some questions now. A lot of folks out there, a lot of our listeners, we have females over 40. It's more and more challenging to be dating nowadays. What are some of the common pitfalls that you find that women over 40 have, and what can they do about it?
Yeah. So very quickly, like you said. So the first thing is to make sure that, you're not doing it too quickly after a breakup. Takes time to process the breakup, look at why it happened, maybe take some responsibility, right, for exactly what happened, and try to process it in such a way with a therapist, self-reflection, what have you, to put it in the past. So you're not carrying those judgments, those resentments forward. And you know what? A big F word that I love is the forgiveness word, right? Because the more that you can forgive, the lighter you become, and you open your heart more to the next relationship. So dating too quickly, take time to process that. And the next thing is having unrealistic expectations. Like we talked about earlier, just jumping into the dating game and figuring that you're going to find Mr. or Mrs. Right in a couple of months. Just relax. Studies show, I've done lots of research on this, that it can take 6 to 12 months to find somebody, even and in the meantime, so what if it takes a long time? Because you know what you're doing? You're discovering yourself along the way. You're discovering what you want and what you don't want. And you're getting opportunities to exercise your boundaries and knowing when to say no, right, along the way, which is just reinforcing the great qualities of the person that you want to work with, that you want to be with.
What do men not get about women these days?
That's that's a really
That's a
loaded
loaded question.
question. It's a really loaded question. You know what? Let me flip it around a little bit. With the
Okay.
question, the number one question that I get from women is that why did he disappear? Like, what am I not getting? Right. So just know that women like to have answers to things, and sometimes it's just a question. Once again, we go back to the golden rule: treat others like you want to be treated. If you don't think there's a future with this particular person, just let the woman know, right? And men and women have their own particular journeys. Just if you can close that box nicely, I think the universe rewards you so that other people will not do that to you as well. Just, it's not working out. You're a great person. This has been great. And no more to say than that. And then you move on, right? Wishing them the best of luck.
It seems like the online dating is it's a gift and it's a curse, because there's a lot of behaviors you can deploy online, where you can just disappear. Now you can do that in person organically, but you don't. I think a lot of guys are afraid of closure. They don't want to say no, and I think women are the same way. They don't want to say it's just not working out, even though I think they're more apt to do that. because they don't want to have any pushback on that. They don't want to have somebody give them a hard time, because people now, they want what they want right now. And I think the mindset our culture has is a little bit immature in a way, in some ways, and very mature in other
Yes.
ways. But in the way of I can't have what I want right now, there's a lot of that. That's a big problem. And I think when you can hide behind online, where I can just disappear, people are going to do that. So the technology allows you some good behavior, but also gives you some easy ways out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. But this closure piece is huge. So it's just, and you know what? Women appreciate it when we're just told, okay, so there's no possibilities here. It's just not going
Hmm.
to happen. You know, this has been great. Good luck with the future. Then we could just let that one go, because a lot of women, a lot of my clients, you know, say, Tina, well, he didn't really close it off. So maybe he's still kind of interested, and maybe he just wasn't ready. Let me reach out to him again. What do you think I should text him with? Like, that is, you're torturing yourself. Just put us out of our misery.
But
just,
you know what I
just
think
cut
it
it
is,
off.
Tina, and this is very it's not good behavior. But a lot of guys are obviously sexually driven, and they think, well, maybe you want to go back one more time, maybe it can work out. Well, why do I want to shut that off? Because we had some fun or something like that. There could be some of that self-serving behavior involved in
Right.
that. I would suggest to guys that listen to Tina. If it's not working and you can see the woman's interested, at least say, hey, I'm on to other things, or I'm just not feeling it. Because it's the fair thing to do. So if you want to be a man, you got to do some things that are not necessarily comfortable, but are the right things to do. So guys, come on. Uh, Tina, sex on the first date, deal breaker or love maker?
You know, I hesitate on making broad statements, because I've heard, you know, stories where people do get together intimately in the first relationship and it does work out. But generally speaking, no, it doesn't. And just to make sure, I had a conversation with my boyfriend that I've been with for now the last 10 months. And I said, we had this conversation, and he said, no, it's really easy. If you just have sex on the first date, it's a lot of fun for sure, but there's no connection. So therefore, you know, it's easy to, this lady do this with everybody. So maybe this is not somebody I want to be with for the long term, right or wrong. You know, it's just, that's kind of the way it is.
Do,
And if you
do,
want a connection, then it's easier to break away if there is no initial connection, because you've slept together right away. Whereas if you take time to form a bond and have that connection and then have sex afterwards, there's a higher chance of the relationship going further.
okay. 3 best tips for daters over 40. Let's skew it towards the ladies.
Okay, so I would say first and foremost, open your heart, be open to love, and try to let go of the past. It's super, super important, because, and I've heard you talk about this numerous times, men really appreciate a woman who in the initial stages seems light, and she's not there full of, you know, still full of poison and resentment. Maybe justifiably so, but maybe you need a bit more time. So, you know, try as much as possible to let that go. That's for sure. So that is a huge one. And I would say the next one is what we've already touched on: having realistic expectations, right? And making sure that, you know, you're not necessarily going to meet somebody right away, and just enjoying the process, I can say, is a huge one. And date outside of your norm, because that's how I just mentioned, I spoke to my boyfriend earlier. I met him because I dated outside of the norm. I had a certain type and I decided, let's try. It's not working. I
Right.
haven't met anybody so far. If you're not sure whether you should make a change or not, look at your results, right? I wasn't getting the results. I dated outside of the norm, and like this gentleman responded right away. I said, I don't, you know, I'm not sure. That's not usually my type. We got together and he just blew me out of the water. And 10 months later, it's going absolutely fabulous. So if you have this type where you know, a physical type, for example, or he has to have a certain type of a job, that type of thing, try something different. And it could
Mhm.
make all the difference in the world. You know why? Because you're not focused on the chemical reaction in the beginning. You're getting to know the person first, and inevitably that's going to be the core or the connection that binds you and that keeps you together, that you develop over time, as opposed to the chemical, which means sometimes you're so overwhelmed by that you're excusing the little behaviors that are not so great, and maybe they're not a long-term person after all.
I agree with you completely. If I was looking for a dating coach, I would go to Tina Jesso. Just let me amplify on your last answer. I would say the three things are make room in your heart for another partner, look at dating as a fun sport, and
Yeah.
respect other people the way you'd want to be respected. And if you can stick to those, I think you're on your way to at least having a enjoyable experience. And then enjoy the experience too. Make it fun. I still have friends I've met on Match.com from ages ago, and there's nothing going on. We're just like, hey, how's it going, or whatever. And that's cool. It's I'm not saying that's for everybody, but because it's completely understood that we always respected each other as human beings. So it's not like, oh, you're in my life or you completely, you're the enemy or something. You don't have to have it that way. It's whatever works for you, I guess. So anyhow, I'm rambling. Tell everybody, Tina, where they can find out more about you, your website, the passion test, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so straightforward. It's my name, www.tinajesso.com. You'll see all my programs there. I'm just putting the finishing touches on an updated version of the best dating sites over 40. So that'll be free if anybody wants to go on and have that free mini ebook. As well, I'm putting the finishing touches on a program called the Roadmap to Dating Success Over 40, which comes with a series of modules and videos and things like that. So, but all of that info is going to be found on tinajesso.com.
Fantastic. Well, you've been a fantastic guest, and you're doing great work. And I love your attitude and your perspective. And I think you're helping a lot of people. So, folks, if you're looking for a dating coach, I could think of none better than Tina Jesso. So check her out. And thank you so much for being on Guys Radio. Hope to have you back again.
With pleasure. Thank you, Robert.
If you enjoyed the interview and want to support all the helpful content we bring you each week here on Guys TV, then please subscribe now and also on my podcast, Guys Radio. Thanks for your support.